Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, thank the witnesses for all of their testimony. I think you've all illuminated the issue, and I want to thank the chairman of the committee for continuing to work on this important issue. These are tough, hefty issues to deal with, and we're going to continue to work through them. So very much appreciate that. Attorney General Becerra, I want to assure you, while we can't see you, we can hear you.
That's great. Thank you.
And we certainly can hear how important California's law is and why it is so important to protect. When I think about this issue, the private right of actions found in numerous existing federal and state privacy laws, the Electronic Communications Privacy Act, which is our anti-wiretapping, gives private rights for wiretapping violations. California's privacy law, CCPA, has a private right for data breaches, and even the Privacy Act of 1974 provides a private right of action against improper government use of data. These are just to name a few. And so when I look at this issue, I see these common threads that we want individuals not to have to wait for government enforcers to act. Now, I loved Mr. I want to make sure I pronounce your name right, Kovacic, the notion that we need to pay people more at the FTC. I find great humor in that because I'm sure you guys are doing very well as former FTC commissioners out in the private sector. I think your work and intelligence on the FTC is what we value. We just have to listen to it. You were the policeman on the beat, and now the challenges that we face are that these are real-world integrations. I like that you brought up concurrency. I mean, not everybody might like that, but look, we have to figure out how to do this. We have to figure out how to move forward, but I want to protect these private rights of actions of individual states. I'm not for wiretapping laws where citizens don't have redress. I'm not for stamping on the rights of California citizens who have decided to move ahead. So we have to figure this out. So Mr. Becerra, in a letter you sent to Senator Wicker and myself, you said it's critical Congress extend enforcement powers broadly. Congress should make clear that consumers also have opportunity to private rights directly through a private right of action. And so I guess what I'm asking is, what, Mr. Attorney General, do we need to do to make sure that we have these regulations in place? And I also see this critique of Europe. This critique of Europe is about how it's not working as well as it should. Well, one basic thing that we have in the United States of America is that private right of action. So, Attorney General Becerra, what do we need to do to protect the welfare of California citizens while moving forward on a strong federal law?
Well, we certainly, Senator Cantwell, have to keep in place the protections that make the right that we're talking about giving consumers real. And so whether it's the right to know what's being collected, whether it's the right to delete the information, or whether it's the right to opt out of the sale of the information in California CCPA, all those are important rights, along with the right to not feel treated differently simply because you decide you don't want to share your information with that collector of the information. But at the same time, as I said in quoting our state senator, a right without a remedy is really not a right at all, because you can have rights on paper, but if you can never enforce them because the one enforcer, the state attorney general, is too consumed with other enforcement actions, then your right essentially is in a privacy desert. And so we have to make sure that consumers have their day in court and they can enforce that right. And that's why it's so essential that along with our public enforcers, that we give consumers that opportunity. I guarantee you consumers would prefer to have the California Attorney General move their case instead of them. But at the end of the day, if we don't have the capacity, then some of those consumers will take up the opportunity if they are given the right to go to court.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no idea where we are with the clock and time. So Oh, okay. Well, I would just say, my point about your salaries was just to emphasize the fact that your intellect is what we value, and people should listen to that intellect when it was on the FTC, and we should listen to it now. That this, in my opinion, it is about making sure that the enforcement capability is there. I'm happy to pay them something that attracts people of your type to the public sector, but my God, this is clear. We need a strong privacy law. We need to listen to the FTC and enforcement. And Mr. Leibowitz, I wish I had time to explore more this issue of local journalism and how this fits into this privacy puzzle. Maybe I could submit something for the record, or if you have a 10-second version of that, that would be helpful.
Sir, you're recognized for 10 seconds.
Now I only have 6 seconds. I would just say that it's a critically important issue for democracy. I thank you for your leadership in looking at this. When we started our series of workshops, the Seattle Post-Intelligencer, I think, had just gone online and wasn't delivering in paper. You just lost the local paper in Seattle. So, as you know, as every member of this committee knows, local news is vital to democracy. And so it's a very appropriate, and government has a role in that, not a major role, but there's the Newspaper Preservation Act of 1970. There were postal subsidies in the early part of the 19th century for news, and so I look forward to working with you. I look forward to reading your report.
Thank you.
It